and a hated poll tax. The bedrock of that campaign was mass non-payment of the poll tax, and that was built and maintained by over 1,100 anti-poll tax unions in every borough, town and city across Britain. Thousands of people like yourself were involved in those anti-poll tax unions, and thousands of people like yourself built mass lobbies and demonstrations outside council chambers across the country, and helped build the magnificent demonstrations in London and Glasgow on the 31st of March 1990, where over 300,000 people marched in protest against Thatcher's poll tax. And let's not forget the 10,000 who marched in Hastings on the sunny south coast that day as well. By the summer of 1990, over 18 million people were not paying the poll tax in Britain. And then the Tories came for us. But the anti-poll tax unions, they're built strong on the ground, involved thousands of activists, were ready and waiting. We mobilised thousands, tens of thousands, to turn up and defy the courts. And that's what may be necessary in this campaign. They turned up in their tens of thousands and defied the courts. And by doing so, they also clogged up the court system in England and Wales. That led to millions of cases being dismissed. I'll give you one example. The sleepy Isle of Wight. I don't know if you've ever been to the Isle of Wight, but it just feels with a couple of towns, and that's about it. And we turned up in Newport on the morning of the court cases, and thousands upon thousands of people were outside the courthouse. Hundreds had clogged the courthouse inside. And by the end of the day, the magistrates had torn their toupees off, their hair out, and what have you, and had given up the ghost. And everyone they summoned that day was brought into the courthouse to pick up their fare money. And they came out of the courthouse and went to the pub next door and had big knees up, because all the cases in the Isle of Wight were dismissed that day. And that's the kind of campaign we had in Britain in 1990. And when the bailiffs came, the anti-poll tax unions were ready for them. We blocked the streets in the estate to stop their cars coming in. We defended people in their homes. We drove the bailiffs away, and on many occasions we went to the bailiffs' offices and we bullied the bullies and made them expose them for what they are. And it would be true to say, in large parts of Britain, there's a no-go zone for bailiffs in 1990 and 1991. Mass non-payment of the poll tax defeated Thatcher and defeated the poll tax. When Thatcher running from the number 10 to the car door, crying her eyes out, the whole nation laughed. We laughed like trains because she'd spent 10, 11 years making millions of working class people, millions of parents crying their sleep at night about the conditions she and her government were imposing on us. And that's what we achieved in that campaign of mass non-payment. Now today, all the politicians, all the journalists, all the commentators, all their hangers-on tell us there is no alternative. I've been saying it for the last 4 or 5 years. But there is an alternative. And I think the poll tax in Britain in 1990 shows that mass civil disobedience, mass defiance, mass non-payment can win and can bring down a Prime Minister. I wish you well in your campaign. As I said, it's been an absolute privilege to speak here today. I'll be watching from Britain. There'll be many thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people watching your campaign. Forward to victory. I look forward to reading about it and hearing about it.